Alright, welcome back everybody to another episode of me rambling about absolutely nothing. Alright, where we left off, we had just attached the emergency escape system, capable of safely landing 3 Kerbals on the surface. We have our power generation here. We have the main station core. That's what this is. English is great, I promise. Main station core here. We have Kerbal storage for future missions, and we have the long docking port here for attaching larger ships that couldn't get into this docking port here, and we have a nice large fuel tank, which is almost full. It's about 3/4 the way full of fuel. It's not too bad, not great, but definitely enough to help out with smaller rockets and that sort of thing trying to go to other places. So this time we're going to attach the science portion of our station right here. Now, in KSP stock, there isn't really much for science. You got thermometers and stuff like that. But I have a the keythane mod attached into the game. So what I can do is I can scan the planet for the wonderful green oriness and see if there's any nearby KSP that I can mine and possibly make future keythane jets and that sort of thing. So, what we're going to do is attach that right now, and then after that we'll look into possible missions and stuff like that that we can take advantage of this space station with. So let's go back to the Space Center here. Nice lovely little loading screen. It's nice and black. Got the little thing down here that doesn't really move ever. I mean, it jiggles around once in a while, but there it goes. Alright, so let's get the science stuff. Now, with science, you don't really need a really long words. You don't really need long pieces or anything like that. It can just be like a little nub that you just attach to it. And I think I'll also bring up a tug with it. So, Station Core was the one with the biggest launch system on it and everything like that. There we go. The Big Daddy launch section like this. And we're not connecting the core or any of that. So we'll detach it from... That's all the launcher stuff there. This is all extra stuff that we really don't need. Now with the science thing, I do want to bring up one Kerbal to manage it. So we will use this because, well, frankly, it looks very sciencey. I got the hiccups. That's not good. Ugh. Okay, I think they're gone. Now, when we attach that, I'm gonna have hitchhiker storage just for the Kerbals and for something for me to attach all the science stuff on. Come over to the science area. We want an antenna. Got it. And then we want a larger satellite dish type of thing. Right there. We won't be able to sense pressure. We might be able to sense some gravitational effects, so let's go ahead and throw that on there. Let's check the temperature in the area while we're at it. And what else we got? Negative gravioli detector. Why not? Okay, so we got everything except for the pressure detection, which we really don't need. And then just for fun here, we're going to attach a medium survey unit. This is for the, actually, I'll just do the small one. This is for detecting the keythane on the surface. It's nothing really all that crazy fancy or anything. It's just that consumes power. Yay. We're also going to add an RTG just for while we're flying up there. Just like that. Make sure my center of mass isn't too wonky or anything. Looks good that way. It looks decent that way. So yeah, center of gravity, all that's pretty good. So we can turn that off. Now we want to put one of these on there. And that'll stay on there. That's all one piece right there. Come over here, get our docking port. Bam. Now I'm going to separate that so we can put RCS up there. Try and balance out the weight a bit better. Okay. Now, like I said, I wanted to attach a tug so we can get the tug and the science thing all up there at the same time. So we make sure everything looks good on this here before I go and start adding craziness. Get some batteries won't hurt. Just add 2 of those. Those you want symmetrical because they do weigh enough to throw off center of gravity, that sort of thing. Alright. Power generation, science stuff. Alright. Excuse me. Alright. Now, down here, I want to attach one of these. And then a docking node, if I can remember where these are. I can never remember that. Just like that. Attach another one. And here's where we're going to build the space tug. This is for moving larger craft into the station, that sort of thing. It's nothing crazy or anything like that. It's just really handy to have around. So we're going to go like that. And it's going to have 2 batteries on it. So one here. Control. Like, you want this thing to be pretty hefty on its ability to turn and move around things. It's going to need a remote guidance unit. Alright, and then another control. Like that. Another battery. Like that. And one more RCS. That is, for all intents and purposes, our space tug. We'll add, of course, the RCS to it and everything like that, balance it all out. And since I built it symmetrical and identical on both ends, it's very easy to do that. And we're also going to add 2 RTGs on it just so it has all the power it will ever need for all of its tugging powers. And I think just for fun, I'm going to add this on there so we can put a senior docking port on there so we can move fuel tanks and stuff like that. So over here in utility, now I have to remember where the senior docking port is, right there. Flip that guy upside down, slap him on there. Alright, now our space tug can do both things. It can do big and little. All we have to do is right click somewhere and hit control from here so we're facing the correct direction, that sort of thing. And this is also works as a movable adapter to be able to use a senior docking port on that fuel tank we have up on the station so we can attach a smaller ship with one of those docking ports. Alright. But we gotta move that out of the way so we can get the center of mass so we can throw on these. So right there. If I go up that high, I'm going to do the same exact thing on this. Go the same height up and down and there. That should be balanced. Now this thing, balancing them, is a little bit more difficult because I can't use the center of mass to focus on them. So I pretty much have to look at it like this. These are all centered. How much mass does this thing add? 0.1. And the senior docking port adds 0.2. So we're only adding 0.3 tons to the bottom here. So don't really have to do too much as far as balancing the RCS ports. I can very easily go like that. And then a little bit more on the bottom, but not much. Just right there. And then for added measure, on the bottom of this and the top of that. And that should be more than enough to move some pretty heavy loads and everything. Alright. Now, if you notice, none of this has fuel or anything like that. We really don't need it. We have all the RCS in the world to do whatever we want with it. So I'm not too worried about fuel consumption, that sort of thing. And I screwed that up. There we go. That's how it connects. Let me connect that bottom half on there. And that should be just about it for both the science and the tug. Zoom out a little bit just so I get a bigger picture here. And yeah, that's pretty much all we will need. As far as fuel goes, we've launched this thing numerous times. I had more than enough fuel left over, and let's face it, I haven't really done many RCS only maneuvers, so this will be alright. Go like that, just so it doesn't put the weight here on the tug. I think that's a pretty good design for a tug. It has both the senior and the normal docking port. I never use the little tiny docking ports. I never really like those. They always get in the way, that sort of thing. Alright, making sure we're good. Add on these to there and right there. And I did notice this from previous launches, that there to there wobbles a little bit. So I'm just gonna throw these on there real quick just to remove that wobble. Looks like everything's good. I'm gonna have to manually detach that. That's fine. Now that's well after we're into space and everything like that. Lots of control here, so I highly doubt we'll have any issues with torque and steering and stuff like that. Let's see who we have on crew. Is Holland. I don't know if I like Holland, but we do need to hire enough Kerbals to throw into that hitchhiker thing. So we need 4 more. And there we go. Close that. And let's click fill here and throw them all in there. Those are our science people. They don't do any exploration or anything like that. They're just here in the science module doing sciencey things. Alright, action groups I'm not going to do for this. There's nothing really that needs an action group. Alright, it looks like we should be ready for launch. So let's go ahead. Station, science, and stupid tug. Even though it's an awesome tug, we're calling it a stupid tug because I can see bad things happening already. And that's the thing with this game. You really just have to look at it as everything that could possibly go wrong will go wrong. It's not a stupid saying or anything like that. Something is going to go wrong on this, and what I do is I look over the whole craft, look over all the parts and everything, and I pick and choose which ones I think are going to do the most wrong, and I do my best to alleviate that. But something always goes wrong, and if you're doing your job right, the one thing that doesn't really go wrong is fuel consumption. You can't really, I mean, there's programs like MechJeb and stuff like that to be able to fix fuel consumption calculation and stuff like that. Why is that only giving me that type of warp? Alright, there we go. Okay. There we go, we're coming around. I missed it. I keep missing it. Let's not time warp at a bajillion miles an hour. Maybe that'll help. Alright. Looks like we're good for launch right there. That looks about perfect to me. Let's throttle up and go for it. And while that's doing the initial thing there, set that as target. Come right back in, and let's check for wobbles. See how much better everything is. And adding those side ones seem to have helped quite a bit. I don't see anything crazy going on down there anymore. I'm getting a little bit wobble from this top section here because it's not supported to anything, but it'll be alright. Okay, there goes that. We of course slow down because we lost 2 engines. And I've noticed that if I put the right amount of weight on here, it stays pretty close to 200 meters a second underneath 10,000 meters. I really don't have to worry about it that much. It seems that a lot of the wobble went away. We are twisting a little, but that's to be expected from this size of a rocket. It's really hard to get everything perfectly symmetrical. So we go ahead, start turning this like that. I'm just going to maintain my turn here until it's ready to ditch these 2 outer tanks. And just from experience, I can definitely tell we'll easily be able to get into orbit with this much fuel. I don't see too much of an issue happening. We will have to do a lot of the maneuvers with just the RCS though. Okay, there goes those. Ditch those off. Alright, now switch to this so I can plan out my ascent a little bit better. We'll stay right about here, looks good. How high up are we? 33? That ain't too bad. Making sure, yep, everything looks good. Now we do have to aim a little south, if you guys remember. Station for some reason isn't exactly on the 90-degree plane, but that's probably because the initial core wasn't launched up in very good detail and all that kind of stuff. So we get this up here. We have an intersection and 8 kilometers. That looks good to me. So we come up to this point. Well, we gotta wait until 70,000, then we can do normal time warp. There are 2 types of time warp. It's physical and just game logic time warp. Both are time warps, but with the physical you can still move, you can still accelerate, and do all your fun spaceship-y stuff. Alright, and right about here, I want to start getting rid of that target velocity. As quickly as I can, I just gotta get pointed at the thing. Okay, and then we throttle up. And there we go. What that should do is get us both in an orbit and line us up pretty close to where we need to be. So as you can see, it's about to pass us. And there we go. The station just passed us. About 8,000 meters away. Now, once this hits 0, we can start pointing towards it and really clear that out. Alright, we're starting to get close, so I'm going to down throttle just so I don't overshoot. As you all know, I love to overshoot things. I don't know why, it's just that's what happens. Alright, 4.8 meters a second out. 1.3. That's pretty much zeroed out right there. Now let's see if we have any encounters that we can just warp to. No, that one's 36 away. I don't really like that. Let's see if I can't shrink something down here for us. Alright, and right there. What's this shrinking down to? What do we got here? 8, and this one's 7. Looks like they're both pretty much identical. That's growing, that's shrinking. There we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, and that's about as close as I want to get. Now looking at the nav ball and everything, I'm going to have to turn this way to be able to get retrograde on the target velocity. Retrograde means to slow down, prograde means to go faster. In terms of when you're looking in target mode like this, it's pretty much the same thing. It's go faster or go slower, but you're in reference to your target and no longer in reference to a planet or a moon or the star. So we have 3 reference points. We got target, we got orbit, which is us up here in space, ignoring the surface and all that. Then you have surface speed, which is exactly right below us. How fast are we going past what's right below us? Just thought I'd give you guys a little pointer tips on that, because it's not exactly a well-known thing with the difference between surface and orbit. Orbit is the whole circle, how fast we're going across our path, and then surface is how fast we're going over the exact point where we're standing at that exact moment. So I have some RCS so I can turn a little bit faster. We said we have a crap ton. What do we got here? 2.4, 2.5. Just trying to get this to 0. But everything's going a little wonky on me. Okay, 1.3. Using RCS does add and subtract some speed if they're not perfectly balanced, and that's what the whole shifty, wobbly thing is from. That's from me using RCS. Alright. Just turned off the RCS in hopes that it'll help settle things out a bit. And let's get in a little bit closer here. 1 meter, 0.9, 0.8. Let's try to get 0.5. That's typically your goal. At 0.5, you're looking at a really nice intersect. And we have a lot of fuel, but I really don't feel like trying to dock with it all on there. So what I'm going to do is decouple, use RCS, switch over to docking mode, and just jet away from it a little bit. Now we're going to time warp while we come into the module, or the station. It's not just one module. Let's see how bad my frames hate this right here. Looks like we're maintaining a good 60 frames-ish. You'll see this flicker yellow when the game has like a herp derp moment. That is to be expected. Alright, I'm not balanced with both the tug and this together, so I'm gonna have to work it out a little bit. That's alright. There we go. Slow down a little bit more. Slide this to the left, down, left, okay. Let it come in. And I think right about here's a good spot to start worrying about this stuff. Alright. Now let's find our parking node for the science area. I can get the camera to do what I'm telling it to do. That the nav ball's in the way. There we go. Got that set as target. So we're gonna go like this, and then go forward. Alright, so obviously we need to fly around this way, but not too fast. Okay, we also need to drop down quite a bit. So let's go ahead and drop it. Switch to chase here, just so things make more sense. We're going to rotate just to align our plane. Gotta move more right. I also need to face this way. And with all those reaction control systems and all the SAS modules, this thing turns on a dime, which is great, especially when you're using that tug. I'm gonna slide more right here. And this, when you're this close and just using RCS, it's pretty good to just get used to how things fly, and just play around a little bit. Just don't go too much faster than I want to say 1.5 meters a second, because if you really go faster than 1 or 1.5 meters a second, you're bound to run into something or get too far away from the station. But just kind of make yourself a small little RCS vehicle and play around a station or something like that, or work on your maneuvering so you can get in with a good intersect. Then with your small little RCS vehicle, kind of learn how to align yourself and that sort of thing. I mean, it's just nice little helpful things to know how to do. Let's see right here, I'm going wacky because I forgot to turn that back on. Forgot to turn the SAS modules back on. Alright, so get this pointed like that. Alright. Now it looks like we're drifting to the right and down. Alright. I don't have... Alright. Moving in at 0.5 meters a second, which is pretty much right where you want to be. Right before I dock with really large things like fuel tanks and stuff like that, I'll slow it down to 0.2. But for this right here, when you're just kind of crawling into it, 0.5 is really all you'll ever need. I've never had a problem with going in at 0.5, especially with small craft like this. Once we get the science section docked, we're going to go ahead and undock the space tug and see how maneuverable it is and how balanced it is. Because we will more than likely be using that in future episodes for future missions. Because we can detach, the entire fuel core to be able to get it in to where we need it. Now right there you saw me slow down because I realized I wasn't exactly pointed at this thing correctly. So I went ahead and adjusted. And right there. Magnetism's taken over. Turn off SAS so it lets it flop around like a fish. And we are docked. Not only are we docked, but now we have another docking node here for added parts and pieces for whatever we may want or need. Alright, now like I said, we're going to go ahead and test our space tug here. Make sure camera's in free mode. Make sure everything's lined up, everything looks good. Before we do the space tug thing, let's go ahead, extend our antenna. Yay, antenna. And then we'll open up our satellite dish. Like that. Now I'm not going to go into too much on the key thing, but you activate the detector, and I always disable the scanner tone. And if you come out here to the orbit map and turn on show grid overlay, scan that one, there's nothing there, and you can see the honeycomb grid that overlays the entire planet. And if you time warp, you can see it. Looking for a key thing, but that's for other episodes completely. We're not really worried about that one. Alright. We got some other instruments here that we wanted to check out. So, you just right click it like this. Negative gravioli detector. Looks like we got 6.62 meters per second squared of gravity, which means we're pretty much the same as what it is on the surface. A little bit lighter because we're 130 kilometers away from the surface, but if you think about it, it's really not that much of a difference. And then, nope, that's that. Thermometer. How cold is it out here? Negative 41 degrees Celsius. That is pretty cold. The temperature is rising, and I think that might be because the sun is about to come up. Or the sun is up. I can't tell. Let's turn off these and see what we got going on. Oh, the sun is up. It's right there. But yep, that's the station without lights. Looks dingy, dark, and yucky. Nobody's really interested in a dingy, dark, yucky thing. Alright. I think it's ready to give our little space tug a try here. So, what you do, decouple node, use the bracket key to switch vehicles when you're close enough to everything. Turn on RCS. Okay, get away from the station a little bit here. This thing seems very fast. I'm gonna keep that as my target. Now let's see how good it is at drifting left without going off center. If I can get my view correct here. Alright. Now if you notice down here on the nav ball, the orange is, on the little dot, is pretty much lined up right with the docking node. If I burst left, looks like it's perfectly strafing. It didn't twist or anything like that. Burst right. Did a little tiny twist, but nothing crazy. I mean, if you look at it, it's doing its thing. It does drain its RCS very fast, so whatever it docks to, we're going to have to want to put a lot of RCS on it for the tug to use. So let's go ahead and dock at a speed that isn't a million miles an hour. if that's at all possible. I mean, this thing is ridiculously fast. But since it's so small and nimble, we don't have to be perfect with the docking or anything like that. So there we go. We got ourselves a completed station for refueling, sciences, and we got cool people on board. Like this guy. He's in the cupola thing on the science module. You can kind of see the planet. Yep, you can definitely see the planet actually. Right there out that window. Alright. And you got all these guys in here in the science module. So they got food, they got not food, rubbish, refuse maybe? Trash, more junk, laundry, board games. Switch over to another one to read the other things. See, look at that. They even have a science and more science thing. These guys are on top of their stuff. And they got a whole thing for toothbrushes, but then again, look at the size of their mouths. They definitely need toothbrushes. Alright. And it looks like that's about it. They can see the planet from their cool science area here, which is very cool. Okay. Switch back out here. What does Jeb see? I don't think his thing is completed yet. No. They didn't finish the interior on this cockpit yet. But he's in the escape vehicle because that's Jeb for you. Let's go ahead and put Jeb down in a cozy little hitchhiker thing all by himself. Space let go. Turn on the RCS that he has. Whoa, Jeb, 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 Jeb. No dancing in space. Come on now, buddy. You know better than that. You're like the best astronaut we have. Or Kerbonaut. So we can slide. Move in a little bit. Alright, that's where we want to go. Let's put the brakes on this adventure, Jeb. Look at that. The lights don't even hit this area too much, so you can actually sleep at night. Now let's test the ladders, because I never got around to doing that. Go all the way up. Nope. Missed that one. Okay, ladders don't work quite that well, but they work good enough. Looks like I can change between pods. Yep, without a problem. And then we can go right into here, into his new little home. Jebediah is no longer in an escape vehicle, so if something bad happens, he will actually have to do some work and actually get out there. Alright, next video we're going to look into more successful missions to the Mun, with a little bit larger vehicles, rovers, that sort of thing. And I'll also explain Keithan in a future episode. Alright, until then, I hope you guys enjoy building your space station, and hey, why don't you comment me some pictures of the stations you built with the help that I gave you on how to dock and everything like that, and some of your designs that you used. Until then, see you guys later.